reality TV to money to relationships, a little politics, a little bit of everything, real life, then you're at the right station. But before we get into the show tonight, let's talk about the business. Anything that I say on this show is strictly for entertainment purposes only. That is all, nothing more. So do with it what you want. Okay, y'all, let's get into the show. Honey, Compton is on the radar tonight. First of all, I want to send my condolences to the gentleman that lost his life a couple days ago. It was on the news in Compton that this man was breeding dogs, pit bulls to be specific. And they didn't know what happened, but a friend of his was trying to get in contact with him. She could not find him. She could not get in contact with him or anything. So she decided to go to the house. I guess it's the house where he lived, or I heard mixed stories. He lived there, he moved out, he had the pit bulls there, whatever the case may be. But long story short, she went over to the house where he was found deceased. And the thing about it is, what happened was just very ironic. Um, I wouldn't say totally ironic because when you're talking about dogs and things of that nature, anything can happen. Heck, anything can happen with humans if you know what I'm talking about. So this particular guy, from what they could ascertain, he went out to feed the pit bulls. They're thinking that he was breeding the animals, okay? Because there were like 13 pit bulls at this particular location in the backyard that none of the neighbors seem to know about. But let me let you listen to the video a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll chat it out. You know what I'm saying? Hold on a minute.
A pit bull breeder is savagely mauled to death by the very dogs he was raising in Compton.
His mutilated body was found inside a blood-stained kennel on his property. KTLA's Chris Wolf joins us live from Downey with details about the gruesome discovery. Chris?
Yeah, Cher and Court, gruesome discovery indeed. Veterinarians here at the LA County Animal Control Center in Downey have been working with these pit bulls. We understand they have been sent out for DNA testing. Authorities believe the victim was actually killed sometime last night, maybe around 7:30, 8 p.m., and his body was in that dog pen for hours until his girlfriend found him this morning. Sky 5 was overhead as a woman frantically scales a fence, trying desperately to avoid some very agitated and apparently dangerous dogs on the ground below her. They have already killed her boyfriend, whose ravaged body is just feet away. The deadly pit bull attack happened at a home on North Thorson Avenue in Compton. Investigators say the woman discovered the gruesome scene Friday morning in the backyard and called 911.
There is surveillance footage of the incident surrounding the property, and it was discovered that as our victim was in the backyard apparently feeding them, it sounds like they attacked him, and ultimately he succumbed to his injuries.
Law enforcement personnel, firefighters, and LA County animal control officers quickly converged at the location. First responders say the initial challenge was to corral the dogs into a neighboring yard to gain access to the victim. The graphic footage, which we will not be revealing, shows the dogs ripped off most of the 35-year-old man's clothes, in addition to fatally biting and mauling him. Neighbors and animal advocates are stunned.
People need to take better care of their dogs. People need to understand that these dogs can kill somebody and hurt people.
It should have never happened. This time it happened to the owner of the dogs, but normally it happens to children, elderly, defenseless people. And somebody definitely needs to be held accountable for this. There has to be some kind of law and order here.
Animal control officers removed 13 pit bulls from the property, male and female, 5 adults, 8 puppies. Investigators are collecting DNA swabs and forensic evidence, trying to determine which dogs actually attacked and killed the victim. Experts will be examining the dog's general health and behavior and aggression. If any animal is determined to be unsafe for human interaction, it will be euthanized.
Okay, so what do you think? Okay, mixed stories. Some neighbors said they knew it was a couple dogs back there. They didn't know it was 13. No one really knew if he lived there. And then from what I could see, a lady was going into the home. So it appeared that someone had access to the home if he was there, and you had 13 dogs there. So I'm going to assume he lived there, allegedly. But from what they could ascertain, because he actually had a camera out, so they were able to kind of put things together. And what they found out is he went out about 7 or 7:30, from what you can hear, to feed the animals. And I guess something happened that spooked them, or something went on, and the animals attacked him. Well, when the young lady could not get in touch with him, she went over to the house, as I was saying earlier, and she found him mauled to death. Blood everywhere. Can you believe it? Can you imagine that scene? I mean, I could not imagine it. He was laying there in blood in one of the kennels. I guess one of the dogs either pulled him in there, that was the kennel that he was attacked in. I don't know. They don't really know, because it was everywhere with blood. And he was laying there dead. He had been there all night. All night. Can you believe that? That is awful. And it was like, I can't believe what this poor man went through. And these were his dogs that he was breeding. He had to be breeding. He had 13. Now, my thing is, back in the day, and should I say in our culture, having those type of dogs is not a big deal. Rocks, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, German Shepherds, they like the big dogs. And back in the day, they would, the dog owners would have the big, thick chains on. The dogs would have the chains on. They would be walking the dogs sometimes on the beach. I'm from Florida originally. They would have the dogs walking them on the beach, on the strip down by the beach. And the bigger the dog, the more bow-legged the dog, and the bigger the dog head was, just like the more amped up your dog was. Your dog was the joint. If you had a dog with a big head and muscles look like he been lifting weights, then your dog was like, man, everybody wanted to take pictures with the dog. Not me, because I don't do animals. I barely do people, but I definitely don't do animals, because I wasn't raised around animals like that. Now, in our culture, it's not a big thing. I know a lot of people that actually breed dogs. I know people that breed them legitly. I know people that just breed them because they enjoy it as a hobby. I know people just do it because they do it to make money. I know, that's just kind of what happens in our culture. And those particular dogs are not dogs that, like, for someone like me, I'm afraid of them. I'm afraid of all dogs, to be honest with you. I'm gonna just keep it 100. I have a friend, a good girlfriend of mine. She would get a stray dog. She actually like dogs better than human beings. Okay, and you know what? I get it. I get it. So for me, I don't. I'm afraid of dogs. So she would get a stray dog, and she would bring that dog. If a dog was like near death, she's gonna rear that dog, feed that dog, take the dog to the vet, and nurse that dog back to health. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that, because that's some people's thing. It's just not my thing. But she loved animals, and we need people like her, right? But as I was saying, in our culture, it's not a big deal. You remember Michael Vick? Remember, he got in a lot of trouble. His career never was the same after they were breeding those dogs to kind of fight each other and stuff like that. So those dogs are aggressive. And sometimes the owners breed them to even be more aggressive. Just like human beings. If you have a rough upbringing and life has been hard, or you've been had taught to scrap and fight and do whatever you gotta do, that's what you're gonna be about it all the time. So I don't know what this gentleman did. He was in Compton. He may have just been doing it for just to get some money to breed them, because those are expensive animals. I know someone that used to breed dogs, but he went about it the right way. He actually had his license. Your dog is going to have all their shots. They're going to have all their papers. And I think it's somewhere you can register the dogs. I don't know much about it, but your dog's going to be ready and legit in anything. So, but then you have some people that just do it because that's what we do. And, you have these aggressive dogs, and, that could have been a situation. Unfortunately, it was the owner, but it could have been a situation where some kids were going to school. Elderly lady was coming from the grocery store, just taking a stroll. Could have been a neighbor outside working on his car, and those dogs could have got out and mauled them. It's really, when you have those type animals, you have to go above and beyond to make sure that they're secure. There is no way he could have controlled not to attack the victim in any way, but I don't see how he could control 13 dogs in a sense like what happened. And then if this didn't happen, just in general on an everyday thing, I don't know how long he was doing it. Some of the neighbors from the video you can hear didn't even realize it was that many dogs, which I don't know how. One man said that, a couple of dogs got out and killed some of his chickens. So I guess the neighborhood, they might have chickens and, probably was laid back. People didn't be in each other's business and stuff like that. So they didn't bother him and what was going on in that house. But if that situation had occurred and it wasn't the owner and it was a child, a child that didn't deserve it, or an elderly person, or somebody just in their yard cutting their grass, just whatever, it could have been really, 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 really a bad situation because that was a total innocent person that had no connection with this animal. It's still a sad situation because it was the owner, because normally dogs don't attack the owner. One of the platforms, and this girl was feeding a dog, and he just jumped up at her like he was ready to attack her and growling at her. She had to calm him down. It's like I could feel the intensity between the dog and the owner on that video, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. If I can, I'll post.
Sit down! No! Sit! No! Bishop, stop! Bishop, stop! It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Calm down. Get on the floor. You get some food? You want some food? Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. No, sit down.
To act like he was going to attack her, and she had to talk him down and rub him and stroke him. I couldn't imagine. Human beings trip me out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm ready for whatever they got going on most times. But an animal, you can't talk to them. You can't say anything to them. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just not that girl when it comes to that. So my biggest thing is, if you're going to, y'all drop something. Let me know if you're agreeing with me, or not. What's your experience? Do you think it's okay to have that many those type dogs, any type dog? If a dog is outside of your home, is it okay to have that many dogs? Unless you know for sure you have them secured. I've seen ladies walking like two pits or two big dogs. And I'm like, if those dogs want to get away, ain't nothing they can do. My thing is, I feel like it should be a limit to how many dogs like that you can have if they're outside your home, or if you are walking those dogs need to have something over their mouth, and you need to definitely for sure have a collar and something on them to keep them where you can try to control them, because you can't. Cause those dogs are strong. They are strong and they weigh a lot. Like a woman like me, it'd be difficult for me to control a dog like that. And even though those people, think about it, you got these. That's what jails are for people like that. You have crazy people that's in jail because they don't have common sense. Now you have they understand English most of the time, unless they're of another descent or country. But you talking about an animal, they understand their owner and different commands, but they don't understand like we should understand. So they have bad days too. They be off and don't be feeling like being bothered too. So you go in there on a day where it ain't a day for you, it could be a major problem. So I don't know what happened in this situation, and I am so sorry for the families that have to now deal with, burying him and all of that. But it's very, very sad, because there's a right way you have to handle situations like this. I think it should always be more than one person going back there to feed those dogs. If you have that many, that's a lot of dogs. Those are and those are a lot of high-tempered dogs, strong dogs. You should never be back there by yourself. You should never even have that many dogs, because in a neighborhood, nevertheless, it's so unfortunate. I really, really hate that happened. I really do, because you don't want anyone to suffer with anything like this. They're saying that some of the dogs have to be put down. In all fairness, do you guys feel like all these dogs should be put down? They said that they're going to try to determine which ones are aggressive, and those are the ones that are going to be put down. But then what are you going to do with the other ones? Somebody's going to have to come in and get them, and hopefully they can raise them to be, loving dogs. But I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know enough about animals or whatever. But, I feel like just like humans, if you're going to have those type of dogs, or any type of dogs, you should be able to provide care for them, be able to make sure that they're trained properly, and make sure that you can make sure something like this doesn't happen. I'm so thankful that nothing like this happened, and it was a child or an innocent person that had no connection with the dog. This is crazy. I just think that if you're going to have this type of situation going on, whether you're going to breed or whatever, they need to be either in your house, in a secure place, or something. You cannot control those type of dogs. Those dogs are strong. I hate it happened. It's so unfortunate. I'm so glad that no more of those dogs got out to harm anyone else. I've heard just so many things about this dog. They have a bad reputation. People in general have a bad reputation, but I've heard these type of dogs are so temperamental. I don't know. I don't do animals. I just don't. I don't. I don't. I didn't have. I wasn't fortunate enough. My grandkids love animals. I just wasn't fortunate enough to be raised around animals. My mother didn't have them. My grandmother used to have a couple, but they were always outside, so I didn't ever have to really have a big connection to feeding them and stuff like that. I had uncles and cousins that actually did that, but I just never had that connection. Little ones, the little animals, we can work with. We can work with them. But those big ones, and some little ones are very like Chihuahua, them some little mean dogs too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta watch them because they will bite you too. So I don't know. It's just I feel like if you're the owner of dogs, whether they're considered what they call vicious dogs, temperamental dogs, you have a responsibility to make sure those dogs are in a secure place and cannot harm anyone, including yourself. So I'm so sorry for what happened. I pray that things work out, and I'm so sorry for the family, and rest in peace. Hated to report on that, but I really felt like it was necessary. Next thing I want to talk about was Porsha, honey. She been all up in the news on the reality TV circuit, on the YouTube streets. And honey, they've been talking about her husband, Simon. And I'm telling you one thing. I was never cool with the way that Porsha and Simon got together. I remember the first episode when Porsha was introduced to Simon, and he was married to that other girl. I can't remember her name. And Porsha was giving him the googly eyes and all this at the lady house. Now, y'all remember that on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Well, like you don't remember, Porsha, my girl, but that did happen. But Porsha said that they weren't together. They were going through a divorce. So we're going to go with that because Porsha is Porsha, honey. But there's a lot of been hitting the streets about her husband and that he allegedly had been involved in fraud, bank fraud, identity fraud, all this kind of fraud. And you know what? It's unfortunate. I hate that for Porsha because Porsha is a very sweet girl, but I do sometimes think she's a little naive. I really, really do. And he is a little mature compared to her, and the money thing kind of helped sweep her off her feet. But you know what? I hope her coming back on Real Housewives of Atlanta don't be detrimental to her marriage. I really just don't know. I think them going on the show for that check and to get some more exposure is going to be opening up a whole entire book of things that we don't want to see. And I think it's going to let a lot of people into their lives and their relationships because things kind of settled. And she was just like the glamorous wife and enjoying the finer things and things like that. That's what she's been here lately for the last year or so. For the last year or so, we just been seeing Porsha living her best life, honey, her best life. But now she's coming back into the spotlight like full time. And it's going to be introducing things to us that they may not want us privy to. And I'm hoping that it doesn't cause any type of issues for Simon, whether it be the IRS, with the police, and none of that stuff, because he doesn't have his citizenship. He can't get his citizenship from what they're saying allegedly because of his background, because of all the things he's done, or we assume that's been done, or whatever the case may be. And so he can't get it. He hasn't been able to get his citizenship. His first visa, he stayed too long. And, that's a no-no. If you over here for a period of time, a work visa, and you're scheduled to go back to your country, you're supposed to go back to your country. But he did not. And then that's a problem. So then he got some sort of special reason. He has different businesses. So he was able to get an exception to stay here, and he was able to stay. But when I tell you, they said he's had fake marriages and he's been doing a whole bunch of things, honey. It's gonna be a mess. And I hope Porsha and them are doing it for the right reasons, because all money ain't good money, honey. All money ain't good money. Hey, so we gonna keep our eyes on him, and we gonna see what's going on, honey, because right now I just don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to come to you and just chat it up with you and just kind of put a few things in front of you that's been happening. I'm sure you know everything that's been going on with Fani and Nathan. Oh, and Atlanta and Donald Trump. They know anybody that touched Donald Trump gonna have to come with it and be about it. So right now she is feeling the heat. I don't know how that's gonna kind of, how that's gonna end. How that's gonna end. I am gonna do another show on it because I've been following it really, really closely since I reported on it on Friday, honey. But with Fani and this relationship that she had, what she's saying, it was after she hired him, and they're trying to say it was before Donald Trump people, saying it was before Fani, it wasn't after, and Fani's saying back it up, it was after. That makes a difference. That makes a difference, because if they get her off of this case, this election tampering case, that they're saying Donald Trump was part of in the state of Georgia. If they remove her and get her removed, then what it's going to do is going to freeze this whole case. She's going to have to be replaced by a special prosecutor that the state will put in place, and that takes time. If that is done, then this whole case gonna freeze, and Donald Trump gonna be able to go on try to get it reelected and pardon himself if he get reelected. There's the plan and a method to his madness, honey. There's a method to Donald Trump and his madness. But Fani, if you coming for a big fish like a Donald Trump, you're gonna have to come with the power. You can't be half stepping up in there, because his people they about it too. So I'm hoping that, at the end of the day, I see her point. You should not interfere with the election. That's like a right of the people to put in office who they want in office. You can't tamper with that. You can't do any. So if you did something like that, there's a cost for that. I get it. But if you're gonna be the person that's gonna bring it to the forefront and the mat, then you're gonna have to be about it. And you can't be having no skeletons, because baby, whatever skeletons are in the closet, they coming after them and they want to find them. And if they find them and the judge feels that they are right and there is a conflict, and you have done something that was not for the betterment of the citizens of Georgia, then guess what? Because that's what she's supposed to do, then she can step down. No, I'm sorry, she ain't gonna step down. She's gonna be removed from her position on this particular case, which is what his people want and what Donald Trump desperately wants, because Fani, she ain't no pushover. She ain't taking it easy. She coming with it. And if she coming with it, 9 out of 10, Donald Trump gonna be found guilty, because I don't feel like she would have brought this forward if she didn't feel like she had solid evidence. So this is going to be a very interesting situation with Donald Trump, Fani, Nathan, and all of this. I feel like, it should not. I can understand what they're saying if her hands are not clean and there was another reason for her doing this, and she's been getting compensated behind the scene. I get it. You can't do that either. But if Donald Trump, it did indeed, and I feel like Fani has a point. I feel like she's valid in what she's going after. She got to be able to prove. She got to be able to prove. She got to be able to prove it. And to prove it against Donald Trump, it ain't gonna be easy, baby. All this stuff is just up in the air. I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to finalize this all, but I am gonna have my ears to the street, baby, because I would love to know. So anyway, look. Enjoy your day. And I will be back with you. I'm going to be coming to you this week with a whole lot of stuff. So stay locked in. Bye. Like and subscribe to my channel. Do not forget, like and subscribe.